Welcome to episode 106 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. Here's my question for the week. See if you can answer it. Who are you? If you just pause for a moment and answer that, you will learn a lot about yourself. You will learn about the story you tell yourself about yourself, along with indicating what you believe to be the most important events in your life. There is no right or wrong answer to the question. It is an ever-evolving assessment of who you are and what you are up to, though it may also indicate some limitations that you are imposing on yourself. Are the descriptors you use to describe who you are reflective of your strengths, your challenges, the events in your life, or a combination of all of the above? Does your description paint you in the light of being victorious or victimized? Your sense of self is influenced by how you gauge your status in this world. Part of the process of being human is this thing we do where we grant status and strip away status. Status is defined as the relative social, professional, or other standing of someone or something. Status is the position or rank in relation to others. Status is not an absolute concept. It is our way of ranking the importance or significance of ourselves and others. It is the result of living in a compare and contrast world. It is important to understand that status, the granting of or the stripping of, is nothing more than a thought process, a decision that we make. It is what we do to ourselves and is what we do to others. We assign roles to one another, thereby determining roles that we will each play. It's rather arbitrary. Our social constructs would have you believe that some are born to lead and others are born to follow. I used to think that we were inherently one or the other. But I visited a wolf sanctuary once where I was told a story about how one wolf had been the alpha pack member. She had a sister who was in her pack, who she treated in an abusive manner, along with abusing the rest of the wolves in the pack. The sister was passive and accepted her leader sister's behaviors, until she and the rest of the pack decided that they had had enough. The pack turned on the alpha sister and ran her off. The passive sister wolf took over. She wasn't passive at all. She wasn't born to follow. She also had the ability to lead and rose to that status when the opportunity presented itself. When you describe who you are, do you see yourself as being forever one type of person? Have you painted a box, a beautiful box that contains all of who you are, and consider that to be the final word? Or do you leave one side of that box open to allow for unimaginable possibilities? We know that if every single bit of wisdom were poured at your feet in this very moment, you would only be able to process, store, and implement the parts that are at or near your current level of spiritual awareness. What would be different if you understood that every single possibility of who you can be and what you are capable of doing could be poured at your feet right now, and you would only be able to recognize the parts that sync up with your current level of spiritual awareness? What if there is much, much more, and all it would take is for you to grow to a higher level of spiritual awareness to be able to incorporate more of the possibilities of all you can be? It is easy for us to look in the rearview mirror and recognize that we are not who we were in the past. But somehow, we tend to think that who we are today is who we will be tomorrow. Hundreds of years ago, I was in high school, and many people signed my yearbook with the obligatory, "Stay exactly as you are." Can you think of a greater curse than staying exactly as you were when you were 17 or 18 years old? Man, that would be awful. Why is it easier to see growth that is behind us than it is to imagine growth that is still ahead of us? We have no idea what events are right around the corner, events that will give us the opportunity to see the world and our part in it in an entirely new way. We don't know what we can be because not everything that is possible has presented itself yet. We tend to want life to stay the same because this is our safe spot, but it is also the place we hide when we think we can't handle the disruption and discomfort of shifting our thoughts and actions. It is exactly that disruption and discomfort that facilitates our growth to a higher level. We can't remain static and grow. We must be open to the shakeup. We were designed to be ever evolving. We are designed to take this as far as we can while maintaining this thread that binds us to our Creator. It is a spiritual journey, after all. One of the ways that we can attempt to remain static is to attach ourselves to the work that is not ours, the work that belongs to other people. It is easy to ignore your own growth when you think that you are helping someone else, someone who is at a lower level of spiritual awareness, help them move to a higher level. You can't do that. And the time you spend coddling lower level people is keeping you from moving forward. We need you to move forward and to higher levels because that is what will raise the collective culture. You need to be wise enough to let other people's stories play out. You can hold space for them, but you cannot solve their problems or dictate the path that they must take. Only they know what path is right for them, because that path contains the lessons that they have yet to master. Holding space for someone is the act of being physically, mentally, and emotionally present for them without judgment of what they are going through or the need to offer a solution. It is a form of support that lets people know that you are there for them as they do their own work. While you can be there for other people, you cannot base your happiness on the choices they make. If you think your growth or your happiness and peace are attached to what someone else is going to do, you are kidding yourself. It is always easier to assess what others should do than it is to take on your own work. It is easier to see outside of yourself than it is to see inside yourself and really reckon with what you find actually means. If the choices that other people make are detrimental to your own growth, it's a valid choice to disengage. You are not obligated to stay in any situation that brings you harm. I always have to add the caveat that this does not apply if you have underage children. You must stay in and do whatever work is necessary to support them, but grown adults always have the choice about who they want to remain in a relationship with. Sometimes your only option is to love some people from afar. Anytime you are hyper-focused on what someone else is doing and hope that they will change, you are avoiding your own work. Whenever someone else is hyper-focused on changing you, they are avoiding their own work. In both cases, it will end badly for all involved. Your lessons, your karma. Their lessons, their karma. We are working on our individual challenges, and the collisions we witness societally are a magnified version of the angst and discomfort we feel personally when we're ready to move to a higher level. Just like people resist their own growth, there are those in society who feel compelled to hold on to the old ways, resisting societal change. They do so out of fear of a future that they cannot yet imagine, and one that may require more of them. They fear a future where a level playing field will mean that they no longer have an unearned advantage. At the root of it all is their own fear that they do not possess the skills that will be needed if anything changes. But that's not unusual. We as humans rarely know that we can handle what comes next, the challenge that we can't yet imagine. We rarely bet on ourselves and our resilience. But if you look back at your history, you must recognize that you have been able to step up for each and every challenge in the past. You have a solid record. Life is just this dance that we're doing with one another. Everyone is moving forward, backward, and side to side. We all belong here, and we are all here to grow. And when someone steps on someone else's toes during that dance, it is our job to point it out and correct it. We don't all need to be doing the same step. We just need to stay off each other's toes. We need to allow the space for every person to dance it out in whatever way makes sense for them. We don't know what their coursework is, and they don't understand ours. If you are raising children, you need to foster the humility and wisdom that is needed to acknowledge that you don't know what they're here to do, nor do you know much about how they ought to do it. Giving them that respect will teach them to treat others in this world the same way. And that is what we are here to do, to raise the next generation to be better and wiser than we are. The grace and mercy that we offer to our own children will teach them to offer that to others and to expect to receive it in their own lives as adults. Our children do not come here to be carbon copies of us. They came with a bigger agenda than that. Neither you nor your child fully know why they are here. So you need to help them understand that this journey is long and circuitous, and that they don't need to know everything or understand it all at any point. They just need to build on their core attributes of honesty, integrity, empathy, and humility while maintaining coping strategies. They will need to hold space for themselves as they grow. They will need to shower themselves with peace and understanding as they go through this journey. They need to love themselves and offer grace when they take wrong turns and trip over rocks on the path. They should fully expect to make mistakes because they are fully human. That is what we do. Who you are is not a list of mistakes or failures. It is not the titles you have earned or the amount of money you have in your bank account. Who you are is not how you look or how others see you. You are something much deeper than any of that. Remember how magnificent you are, and no matter what the world throws at you, you are actually a glorified being spending some time in a weak, little human body. Thanks for returning for another week of Rebirth Revolution. My hope is that this podcast helps you see yourself in a new way, a way that is more loving and accepting. The whole world around you wants to tell you that you are not enough. You are enough. You are just the right amount of you to do what you need to do right now. Just keep moving forward while maintaining your core beliefs, and the parts of you that need to grow will do just that. Trust your own growth. You can always let me know how you're doing by emailing rebirthrev@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. If there's someone you know who might also enjoy this podcast, pass the word along. We can be found on all the podcast apps, the music apps, YouTube, and on Facebook. Until next week, write a list that explains who you think you are. Write a list of who you think you may want to be. Get vaccinated if you haven't already and wear a mask. And hold space for yourself and others. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and ever in love with the process.